Welcome back to Montana this morning. Time now is 6:45 on this Monday. 28 degrees to get you out the door and get your day started. Hopefully you had a good week to rest up. I know on Saturday we went grocery shopping and then we took a nap. That was our day. And then we watched a movie. All right, let's go ahead and jump into news. Our top story this Monday morning, a group of Republican senators will meet with President Joe Biden today to pitch a smaller relief package than the president proposed. President Biden agreed to the negotiations after lawmakers urged more bipartisanship. Right now, Congress is on track to pass a $2 trillion resolution that would only require a majority vote to pass the aid. The Republican counterproposal would have a $160 billion price tag and include money for vaccines and PPE. However, it would make fewer Americans eligible for a full stimulus check. President Joe Biden is planning to reveal details on a commission that would look at reforming the Supreme Court. Currently, there are 9 U.S. Supreme Court justices controlled by conservatives, 6-3. In the past, President Biden has vowed to appoint both Democrats and Republicans to any proposed commission. The president says he doesn't want to pack the courts, but instead wants to look at how to reform the court system. Supreme Court seats haven't changed since 1869. Now we go to Wyoming, where a group of oil and natural gas companies is challenging one of President Biden's executive orders stopping the industry from gaining future land leases. The Western Energy Alliance filed the complaint in Cheyenne. The group is made up of 200 companies. They claim the suspension of oil and gas leasing is inconsistent with the Interior Secretary's lawful obligations. According to the group, the Mineral Leasing Act of 1920 requires the Bureau of Land Management to hold lease sales.
The Mineral Leasing Act is very clear that each state where there's interest, the Bureau of Land Management shall hold quarterly lease sales. So it's just not something that the president can do. This is not supposed to affect current leases, but a company may have a project, and as they do more exploratory work, they determine that we need to acquire some acreage nearby. If some of that acreage is federal, then their project would be stymied. They wouldn't be able to go forward with that project.
In his order, Biden states, to the extent consistent with applicable law, the Secretary of Interior shall pause new leases pending a comprehensive review and reconsideration. In world news, Myanmar's military seizes power in a coup against the elected government. The Asian country's army detained the president and other members of the ruling party today. The military declared a one-year state of emergency. Right now, soldiers surround the country's government buildings. There have been growing tensions between the civilian government and the army because the military believes the election putting this new regime in power was fraudulent. Turning our attention now to the latest on the pandemic. January ends as the month with the most COVID-19 related deaths so far. More than 95,000 people lost their lives. As CNN's John Lawrence reports, health officials are again stressing the importance of mask wearing and keeping appropriate distance from others.
The U.S. saw its COVID-19 hospitalizations drop below 100,000 this weekend, according to the COVID Tracking Project. That's a low not seen since December 1st.
We have a little breathing room right now, but if these new variants become dominant in our country, we are going to be right back where we were in November and December, and perhaps even worse.
Despite the drop in hospitalizations, the 7-day average of new cases is similar to what it was in December, and the average number of deaths per day has more than doubled since that time.
The surge that is likely to occur with this new variant from England is going to happen in the next 6 to 14 weeks. And if we see that happen, which my 45 years in the trenches tell us we will, we are going to see something like we have not seen yet in this country.
The University of Washington's Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation's latest model projects close to 120,000 additional Americans could die from COVID-19 within the next 2 months, at least in part because of the variants. And the numbers could be even worse with a more rapid spread of variants.
Just going to the grocery store, to school, or to work could become more dangerous.
More than 31 million COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered in the U.S. thus far, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. As health officials push people to roll up their sleeves, many areas report more willing people than available shots. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The CDC has a new order going into effect tonight that requires people to wear masks while on any form of public transportation. This week, Johnson & Johnson is set to ask the FDA for emergency authorization for its new single-shot vaccine. The company is reporting its single-shot vaccine shows an 85% efficacy against severe cases of COVID-19 and 66% efficacy against moderate and severe cases. While it is somewhat less effective than the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines already in use, experts say it will still be useful in the battle against the pandemic. It's also less expensive and has no cold storage requirements. The Better Business Bureau is warning people not to share their COVID vaccine cards online. Vaccination cards have personal information on them, like your full name, your birthday, and where you got your vaccine. But it's not just personal information scammers are after. They could also use your real card to make a phony one. Scammers have been caught selling fake vaccination cards online in Great Britain. The BBB warns it's only a matter of time before that starts in the U.S. If you want to share the momentous occasion online, the Bureau suggests taking a photo of your vaccine sticker or a selfie at the clinic. Also making headlines this morning, a major winter storm is bearing down on the Northeast, bringing with it a treacherous combination of cold air, high winds, and driving snow. CBS's Deborah Alfarone has more.
Storm watches, warnings, and advisories are posted from the Midwest all the way up to Maine. The region is being hit by a blast of unusually powerful winter weather. Snow began falling in the New York City area on Sunday night. It's expected to continue until Tuesday, with as much as 2 feet piling up in some places.
This is not a storm to underestimate. Take it seriously. This is a dangerous storm.
Forecasters warned that the snow would be accompanied by winds gusting up to 60 miles an hour, strong enough to down trees and power lines. The National Weather Service urged people to avoid wooded areas and even advised staying indoors and away from windows.
Here in the nation's capital, experiencing its first significant snowfall in almost 2 years, they declared a snow emergency. Similar declarations have been made in Philadelphia, New York City, and in the entire state of New Jersey.
This slow-moving system churned across the country over the weekend. Northern Illinois got hit with over 12 inches of snow. Milwaukee tallied 10 inches on Saturday night alone. The weather nearly turned tragic in Virginia when a fire truck overturned on an ice-covered road. 4 crew members were hospitalized. All are expected to survive. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
Because of the severity of the weather, officials in New York have canceled COVID-19 vaccinations that had been scheduled for today. It's unknown if Tuesday's appointments will also be canceled. And today kicks off Black History Month. And if you want to celebrate, there are some virtual events to take part in. On Saturday, the Smithsonian will host an online panel to kick off the opening of an exhibition dedicated to Black men throughout history. The Association for the Study of African American Life and History will also host virtual events the whole month as part of its 95th annual festival. And wrapping up our news this Monday, we're 6 days away from the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Super Bowl 55 right here on Q2. It's the first time a city will host the big game with their home team on the field. Reporter Maya Rodriguez looks at if hosting big sporting events like this pays off for the host city.
In just days, the eyes of the football world will focus on Tampa, Florida.
Hey, let's go!
Site of Super Bowl 55. Preparations here, years in the making, along with a $160 million renovation to Raymond James Stadium, including $10 million of federal money for COVID-19 related upgrades. But do major investments by host cities pay off?
Generally, the return on an investment that's required by a destination is significant.
Jeremy Jordan is Associate Dean of the School of Sport, Tourism, and Hospitality Management at Temple University. He says studies on the economic impact of games can be subjective and aren't always reliable.
You could have 2 or 3 groups studying the same event and come up with very different results.
With that said, the return on investment depends on the sporting event. For example, the Olympics require a lot more infrastructure, billions of dollars worth, for building facilities that may not get used again after the games are done. The Super Bowl, though, is different. Take Tampa Stadium.
So obviously the Buccaneers play there. University of South Florida uses it for their football game. If you look at it from a sustainability perspective, it probably is worth the investment.
Though this year's Super Bowl won't have quite the impact it might have had because of the pandemic. And Jeremy Jordan says future hosts of national sporting events should take note.
It will be interesting how long it takes for people to feel comfortable to go sit in a stadium of 70,000 people and attend a sporting event. It doesn't mean they're not going to consume it, but the patterns of consumption may be different.
But there is one major positive to cities that host these events.
To say that you hosted the Super Bowl, or obviously that you hosted something like the Olympics, it creates the perception that this is a first-class destination.
A kind of branding, it turns out, that money can buy. I'm Maya Rodriguez.
And the Super Bowl airs this Sunday at 4:30 on Q2. I think.
Ooh, cannot wait.
Well, yes, you can. I mean, you have to be at work the next day, so
What?
it's not like you can stay.
I
You
don't
have
know.
to go to bed, young man.
Mom, geez. Hey, by the way, Victoria picks Tampa Bay.
Because I
You wanna call
know
them the what?
nothing about
What'd you want to call them?
the Buckaroos. Yeah, so that's the only reason why, because you can make a little play with their name a little bit, but yeah, I mean that's the only reason why. I know nothing about the teams, no stats or anything like that. Sorry.
You know what? Even though that may be the case, I'm going to ask you what you think the final score is, because you, of all people, who doesn't know a lot about sports, and I know a little bit, you probably have a better chance of getting it right than me, because you're just going into a kind of blind. And sometimes that just happens. Like if you go into a blind, you get lucky. So I may have to do that. Okay. I'm going to use Brett's money to bet, though, if he doesn't mind.
Okay.
Sound good?
Give me some time to do some math, because I know there's certain points for certain things, and it has to be like a realistic number, right?
Sure. Well, I don't know. Some of those Super Bowls, man, the scores have just been lopsided so bad, but maybe we'll get lucky this year. All right. Weather-wise, let me get into this real quick. It's a tale of two weather patterns. It was beautiful yesterday. It's going to be nice for the next couple of days. And then a different shift comes in, and we start to see the colder temperatures return, and a better chance we'll see some snow. But not today and tomorrow. Today, mostly sunny, breezy, and mild. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and milder. Could we flirt with a record high tomorrow? I'm going to show you that here in a second. Rest of the week, colder and a better chance we'll see some snow. Just a glorious sunrise out there right now here in Billings, courtesy of the Stockman Bank weather cam. Look at that. 24 in Billings at the airport. Temperature's gone down just a bit. Winds out of the southwest at about 9 miles an hour. We got 20s. We got 30s. We've even got some 40s out there right now, 40 at Cutbank, but we do still have some single digits. Bozeman and Butte in the single digits, as well as Worland. We got 19 in Sheraton, 33 though, not too bad in Cody. Other areas we're looking at mainly in the teens, 20s, and some 30s as well. So maybe breezy for the next couple of days, especially the eastern part of northeastern Montana and northern Wyoming as well. Here in Billings, we could see some gusts, 20, 25 miles an hour, maybe a little bit more than that for the next few days, but along the foothills there, gust up to about 30, 35 today, maybe up to 50 tomorrow, especially down in Livingston. So mid-level high pressure, that is dominating the next few days. That means we're going to be nice and dry, just calm conditions, our fair share of sunshine. And then here comes a river of moisture coming out of the west. It's going to mix in with that cold air coming in from the north. They're going to get together, and boom, we start to see the snow chances coming in tomorrow, western Montana into Billings tomorrow night through Wednesday morning. Maybe a rain snow event depending on when it comes in. Now, if it holds on in the overnight, it will transition to snow. Only looking at like maybe half an inch, or excuse me, less than half an inch here in Billings for this. But round two comes in later this week as we have a secondary cold front that's going to be much colder. Bring those temperatures down as we get into the weekend. Friday and Saturday, look at that. Now, we may have a better chance of seeing some accumulation, but those temperatures may be a little skewed. It all depends on what kind of snow we have on the ground to see if we really do cool down, but something we'll have to keep an eye on. By the way, tomorrow I'd mentioned the possibility of seeing some record temperatures. The record 61 back in 1962. We'll go with a high of 57, but would not be shocked if we get close to that. Here's what's coming up on CBS this morning.